Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out of this world story from our space. I abandoned my family, and I'm okay with it. I am sitting in my RV outside a cafe with free internet access typing this. I have gone over this so many times in my head, but I figured writing this out could help me clarify the thoughts in my head. I abandoned my family a little over a week after D-Day. Wife, 36 female, and me, 37 male, and a daughter, 13 female. It's now almost 6 months since that day. I discovered her affair by chance. I was totally clueless. I believed we had a good marriage. Plenty of intimacy. We would talk about stuff for hours. We had date night regularly. We had shared and individual hobbies. We were healthy, in fairly good shape. It was good, or maybe it was just me thinking that. My wife, let's call her Eve. She cheated, so she obviously preferred another man, not me. And if she could betray me like that, she couldn't possibly love me. Here I was thinking she was my best friend. I guess not. In hindsight, I can see that I probably saw things through rose-tinted glasses. I actually believed that my family cared about me. I believed I was loved. I was the fool, I guess. I came home late from work. There was a safety training seminar I had to attend. She was sleeping on the sofa, and a message with some emojis popped up on her phone. Emojis like I would use when I message her. What the F? I snooped, and I found out what had been going on for at least 5 months. I knew the affair partner. Let's call him Adam. He was a work colleague of hers. I had even been to a barbecue at his house and met his family. He was married and had 3 children. The youngest, just 2 years old. While reading the messages, something just snapped in my head. It fundamentally changed me. Over the course of reading their messages, I went from loving Eve more than anything to hating her to just going blank. Not just about her, but everything. Totally numb, I took pictures of the messages and went to bed. I didn't sleep at all. I just stared at the ceiling. Eve was pissed the next day that I went to bed without waking her up. She complained about neck pain from sleeping on the couch all night. I wasn't really listening. I just remember thinking how everything was muffled, as if someone had turned down the volume on the world. I was kind of surprised about how little I cared. I felt practically nothing. I should be angry, right? During breakfast, I didn't say a single word. My wife and daughter chatted away. They didn't seem to notice anything different about me, or even acknowledge me. But I definitely didn't feel like myself. I felt like I was someone new, someone I didn't know or understand, wearing a suit of the old me. I went through all the daily motions. I went to work, did all the normal stuff. The only difference is, I sort of stopped talking. Sadly, I realized that nobody seemed to even notice. It's like I wasn't even there. I started to understand that Eve and my daughter didn't really love me. I was in the house with them, but unless they wanted something from me, they didn't really interact. They talked at me, not with me, if that makes sense. I would get these pangs of pain. They would come and go. Sometimes they would overwhelm me completely. I was not okay. I walked around like this for 5 days before Eve asked me if something was wrong during dinner. I had maybe uttered 3 words in total to her and my daughter in that period. I didn't even answer her question. I just made a, "I'm okay, I don't know" face, then continued eating. She seemed okay with that. The next day I didn't go to work. I work for the local power company. I fix power lines and such. I packed up some random stuff plus my camping and hunting gear. I didn't really have a plan. I put it in my car and walked around the neighborhood for a while. I ended up at the kitchen table waiting for the wife to come home. She came home with a few bags of groceries. She immediately started talking about her day while unpacking. I just sat at the kitchen table in pain. She didn't even look at me apart from one glance as she entered the kitchen. Daughter popped in and did the same. Their backs were turned to me and they talked about some trivial crap on sale. I have never felt so rejected, unappreciated, and so alone. I felt totally invisible, like I wasn't there, or that I wasn't worth acknowledging. I was thinking back on our lives and all I could see was that they didn't care about me at all. They probably never did. I was an accessory to their life. I just didn't matter to them. I was a convenient and useful prop. I was hit with a wave of pain. I cried. Still, they didn't notice, so I got angry. Very angry. I had a glass of water in front of me. I stood up and threw it hard at the tiles over the sink. It just exploded. Glass shards rained over everything. They both turned around angry. "What the?" They froze, unsure what to do when they saw my contorted, tear-soaked face. It was uncomfortably quiet for a long while before I spoke. "Eve, I know all about your cheating with Adam." I was surprised how clear it came out since I was clenching my jaw so hard it hurt. My daughter looked at Eve. "What? Is that true, Mom?" Eve started to try to explain. She briefly glanced at me and said, "Sorry, I can explain." Then she turned back to our daughter and they started arguing. Again, it was like I was invisible or something. Hello, the glass thrower here? After a few minutes watching their increasingly heated argument, I just walked out and got in my car. I looked at them again through the window, still arguing in the kitchen. They didn't even notice I had left. I sat there for a few more minutes before I gave up and just drove off. It took maybe 15 minutes before Eve tried to call me. Then call after call after call. Then a flood of texts from both of them. I just ignored it and eventually turned the phone off. The next day, I took half of our money out and called my boss. I told him I didn't know when I would be back. He told me if I didn't show up, I was fired. I just told him, okay, and hung up. I just didn't care. I went to Adam's house. His wife opened. I gave her a copy of the messages and told her what Adam and my wife had been up to. I left her crying on the stairs. At the end of the day, I ended up in a cheap hotel at the edge of town. The next few days were kind of a blur while I tried to come to terms with things. I didn't make any real progress, mostly staring at the wall, trying to think of reasons not to end myself. Eve's older brother is a cop. Let's call him Bob. Bob showed up on the third or fourth day. I'm not sure. I don't know how he found me. He tried to interrogate me. I didn't say anything. When I didn't engage, he told me I was under arrest and put me in cuffs. However, he didn't take me to the station like I expected. He took me home instead. Bob dragged me into the living room where my wife and daughter immediately started berating me. Still, I said nothing. I just listened in amazement while he told me how terrible this was for them. What a terrible a-hole I was for making them worry. It went on for a while. In the end, Eve screamed at me, "Say something!" I stared at her for a while before calmly saying, "I have nothing to say to you, whore." Bob freaked out and slammed me against the wall, screaming at me to not talk to his sister that way. I got a lot of satisfaction out of Bob's violent reaction. I don't know why. It made me so happy I was laughing. Bob's wife left him 4 months earlier. I smiled at Bob. "You're pathetic, Bob. Did you beat your wife too, Bob? Is that why she left you?" Bob hit me hard. I went down. Wife and daughter started screaming their heads off. As I started to get up, I just laughed even harder. I just couldn't help myself. I was bleeding from somewhere. I saw it on the floor. I am still in handcuffs, laughing. Maybe it was the absurdity of it all. I spat blood in Bob's face and said, "F you, Bob." He hit me again, hard enough to knock me out cold this time. I woke up in the hospital. I puked all over the floor the second I opened my eyes, so I knew I had a concussion. Eve, Bob, and my daughter was there. They were talking at me. I was too confused to make it out. A nurse appeared and asked them to leave. She got me a pan to puke in and called someone to clean. While she was taking my pulse, I told her that my family put me here and that they were not to come anywhere near me. That if they came back into the room, I would leave. I would just run away. She argued kind of sternly that running or even getting up was a really bad idea for me, but she would talk to security. I didn't see them again in the hospital. It was bliss. Finally, I felt a little peace. I could think. I was thinking about maybe reporting Bob to get him fired, but it's a small town. His colleagues would probably cover for him. I considered confronting my wife, but that didn't make any sense to me either. I decided to disappear, to turn into a ghost. I wanted nothing to do with these people ever again. I made a letter to each of them. I warned Bob that if he ever bothered me again, I would report him. I told my daughter that Eve had betrayed me and that she would be without a father from now on. To Eve, I made a longer letter. I tried to be as practical as possible. I told her to sell the house, that I won't be paying the mortgage or utilities anymore. I told her reconciliation or even contact was impossible, especially after she had sent her brother to drag me back and beat me senseless in front of them. I explained that I won't do anything for her ever again, so if she wants a divorce, she will have to arrange it. I told her I will disappear and I don't want to be found. That if she interferes with my life again, I will simply end myself. That we will never speak again. I ended it with how much she had hurt me. I really regret giving her that last sentence. It's like I let her steal a little bit more of me. Like I let her give me a little more pain. In the hospital, I made a plan on how I could disappear. Eve gave the hospital some fresh clothes and they forwarded it to me. Then, one evening, I just went out the rear fire escape. I triggered some kind of alarm. I was panicking a bit, but thankfully no one stopped me. I got back to the hotel to pick up my car. I traded it with a small RV and set off. I got a new phone. The only person I called was my father. I told him everything and told him if he gave my new number to anyone, I would become totally unreachable forever. He could call me if he needed to reach me if I needed to sign something. Other than that, I wanted to be left alone. For the first few months, I grieved the loss of my old life. But I came to realize that I grieved the loss of a fantasy, a memory that only existed in my head. The loving wife and daughter, the family, friends, it was all just an illusion in my head. These people never really cared for me. Over time, I started to rebuild a sort of life. Only this time, I was a total ghost. I ghosted all of society. Now, I am only a P.O. box. I run a safety deposit box to keep valuables in cash. I do odd jobs for money. I hunt and fish and scavenge. My money consumption is insignificant, so my cash reserves are actually growing. I don't pay taxes. I don't have a bank account. When people ask my name, I answer, people call me Fred. It's not my name. I go out of my way to not contribute to society or anything else for that matter. I am still invisible, like I was in my family. At least now I am invisible to strangers, not people that claim to love me. And to be honest, I kind of like it now. I brew my own beer. I move around. I have no obligations. I work when I want. I spend a lot of time in nature just relaxing. I have a few friends that I hunt and fish with. I am in amazing shape. The best shape of my life, actually. All in all, my life is getting better. At least now, no one is using me for nothing but their own benefit while pretending they care about me. I don't know what happened to my wife and daughter, my old friends or the rest of my family. I don't know if I am divorced now or if I owe child support. I don't know what happened to the house. I really don't care. My father has tried to give me information a few times, but I shut that down hard. He's the only one I speak to occasionally from my old life. I feel free, relaxed, content. I could say happy even. I don't have much, but I don't need much. When I get to the end of the line, I will sell everything and burn the rest of my money. I will make sure there is nothing of value left. Nothing left to remember me by. Then I will walk into a national park without no one ever knowing and disappear forever. Sometimes I go to shopping malls, trains, or bus stations and just observe people. There I see them. All the men like I used to be. The men that are sacrificing themselves to a society and families that don't give a crap about them. Men that work themselves to death without any recognition or gratitude from anyone. They are guilt-tripped, pressured, and pushed to always make more, sacrifice more. More and more pointless nonsense. Brand clothes, bigger house, more this, more that. Never even getting a thank you. No form of gratitude or appreciation. In most cases, not even a smile. They try to fool themselves just like I was, refusing to recognize reality. But I see it in them, just like I used to. Deep down, they know. I recognize their empty million-mile stare. I used to have the same one. Update. I guess this is kind of a positive update. I have tried, but I have limited access over the last week. The hospital took away my internet access since it caused me quite a lot of distress to read some of the comments. I was very unstable in the beginning. Anyway, I am out since Friday morning. I have been getting a lot of therapy and I am doing much better. I have daily treatment, but I no longer need to be committed. I suffer the after effect of emotional trauma and have mild PTSD. My behavior has naturally been off as a result of this. I have been in intensive therapy and I am getting some medication. I only take the pills now and again at this stage if I feel overwhelmed. I still get these waves of pain that hits me where the world goes numb, but it's less frequent. Some of my behavior, especially the isolation, probably made things even worse for me. I have talked a lot to my daughter. She tells me she has forgiven me. She never meant to make me feel unappreciated. She loves me. The first few days I didn't actually believe her, but once I got some perspective, I realized this doubt was all on me. I have apologized more times than I can count. She started telling me to stop apologizing, actually. She has moved away from her mother and is living with my brother and his family at the moment. She gets along really well with his kids, and my brother has told us that she can stay for as long as she wants. I am in no condition to be a full-time parent at the moment, so for now, she'll stay with them. My brother has arranged therapy for her, and I will do my best to be the best father I can from now on. My wife, Eve, has also moved out of the house and is living with her parents. My father has been paying the mortgage for me. Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from our space. My cheating wife freaked out and begged for forgiveness. She deserves what's coming. I discovered my soon-to-be ex-wife cheating about 7 months ago. I went through all the heartache, the denial, the pain, the pick-me attempts. I was seriously depressed for a long while. I never confronted her, but I was a total mess. She must have known I knew. She just didn't care, I guess. Or at least I assumed that. About 2 to 3 months ago, I was just done with it all. Done with her, done with the marriage. I just didn't care anymore. I completely checked out of the relationship and started preparing for divorce and my new life to come. I avoided my wife as much as possible. I tried to stay out of the house when she was home. I would not engage in conversation. When she asked me a question, I would only answer yes, no, or maybe, or I don't know. I even left the divorce lawyer's bills out in the open. She must have known I was checked out and preparing for divorce. Kids even asked me about it. Even they could see what was going on. I even did the "we both love you" speech. It's not your fault. Sometimes grown-ups can't be together anymore, etc. My wife was actually in the room and must have heard me talk to the kids. She didn't comment or object. I took her silence as consent. Anyways, a few days ago I met a girl I used to know in school, before I ever met my wife. We always had this tension between us, some kind of chemistry. We would always flirt and be touchy, but we never actually did anything about it. Let's call her Monica, because I think she looks like Monica Bellucci. Monica and her family moved away before I found the guts actually to do anything about it. I regretted that for a long time, but I was young, shy, and stupid. I haven't been thinking about Monica for a long time, actually. I haven't seen her for years. But as soon as we met, the tension between us was palpable, even more than I remember, and communication was effortless. She actually asked me out. I explained the situation to her with my soon-to-be ex-wife. I told her I wanted to be officially separated before I started dating. I wasn't going to cheat. Monica respected that. She gave me her number and told me to give her a call as soon as I was done doing what I had to do. She told me she never married, and she was really excited to get to know me again. I was even more excited. The encounter motivated me to finally confront my wife and officially get separation and divorce going. I was really happy when I went home and sat down waiting for my wife. I was actually grinning like a lunatic when I asked her to sit down and told her that we had to talk. I told her I've known about her cheating for a long time. I told her I assumed that she knew I knew, especially since I checked out of our relationship for the last 3-ish months. She didn't seem to mind that I no longer cared. So, I told her that I wanted to start dating and get on with my life. I concluded my speech with, "All taken into consideration, it's time for us to get divorced. Don't you agree?" Her reaction was totally not what I expected. She started crying. Not just regular crying either. Like a desperate soul-breaking noise. I have never heard anything like it. She was blabbering excuses, asking for second chances, that the affair didn't mean anything. We could fix this if we try counseling, etc. I was a bit shocked. I thought she would be happy. I told her she could go and be with this guy without guilt. He is obviously more important to her than her family. If he wasn't, why go with him in the first place? She must have known this would destroy us. She can't possibly be that stupid, can she? I told her if she believed we needed to fix our family or our marriage, the time to do that would have been 7 months ago, before she had the affair. Now, it's too late. It's broken beyond repair. I don't think we had any problems in our marriage. She didn't talk to me and I am not a mind reader, so whatever it was, I had no way of fixing it. Since she started this affair with the other guy, she obviously thought something was wrong or missing. Something that was so wrong that it couldn't be solved by talking to me. Something had to be so lacking or so wrong that she was okay with having our children grow up in a broken home from there on in. If not, why do it? I clearly and calmly explained that there is no way for her to un-F this guy for the last 7 months. And there is no way to undo the pain and suffering she caused me. The pain she caused that made me arrive at this point of basically being indifferent. Or actually, I kind of hate her guts. I'm simply being civil for the sake of being able to co-parent our children in the future. I told her I didn't believe she even cared about me. No person that cared even a little for someone else would put them through this kind of pain. They would not betray them in such a way that she had done. Her telling me that she loves me has no meaning or credibility because her actions conclusively prove otherwise. She became completely incoherent at this point. I could not make heads or tails of anything she's saying. It's just a jumbled mess. In the end, I had to call her sister. Because honestly, I wasn't going to take care of her. Her sister showed up, and after I explained what was going on, she took her away. I felt tremendous relief when they were gone. Like I could finally breathe for the last time in 7 months. I don't know what I'm looking for here. She must have known this was going to happen. She must have wanted it. She can't possibly be that stupid that she thinks this behavior, these choices she made, would result in anything other than divorce and a broken family. She is beautiful. She is smart. Our marriage was great up until she started her affair. I have accepted the life changes. I have moved past it. Now, she's pretending that she loves me? That she wants us to remain married in a family? What could possibly be her motivation to have this major drama at this point? What could she gain? I mean, she couldn't possibly expect us to try to reconcile at this point, could she? It must be some kind of ploy. I just can't figure out what the F it is. I have lots of evidence of her cheating. I live in a European country, and this would mean no alimony or anything for her. Could that be it? Is she afraid I will out her? Could that be it? She wants me to feel sympathy so I don't tell people about what she did? Her affair partner is married, so maybe she's scared I will tell his wife? I just can't get my head around it. Anyway, I just had to get this out of my head. I was hoping it would make more sense typed out. But no, I am just as confused now as when I started this rant. The cult of Abe Lincoln thinks, you absolutely should tell his wife that he is cheating on her. I believe it's a sign of respect as a kindred spirit whose soul has been crushed by infidelity. I guarantee you will cause her pain, and I almost as much guarantee she will thank you for it. You have to think it's all about the kids at this point. I would strongly encourage you to focus on being the best father, and no matter how much it hurts, not to allow them to see that their mother has ripped your guts out and stomped on them. Kids are smart. They'll figure it out. Be the best man you can be for them. You'll regret doing anything less. As for Monica, hey, she sounds really cool. And she's understanding of what you have going on, which is awesome. I would advise strongly against rushing into anything, however. You have a massive variable changing, your marriage obviously, and it may be best not to upset the equation with another. I have seen many men sign up for the first replacement they can find, and most came out worse for wear. That said, you sound like you two have a great chemistry and history, so best of luck. After all, it sounds like she's willing to be patient, so why not? You'll regret it if not. Lastly and most importantly, dude, you owe nobody an explanation or apology for how you handled this. It's heartbreaking to learn your trust has been so badly misplaced and then have to confront the massive black hole in front of you. Your wife completely betrayed her family, and you were completely correct in thinking she, at least subconsciously, was willfully breaking apart her own family. The OP responds, thank you for your advice. I'm leaning towards telling the affair partner's wife. Thank you for your advice on the kids as well. I was already very focused on that. This is going to be hard for them, so I will do everything I can to be there for them whenever they need me. Update. My cheating soon-to-be ex-wife confuses the hell out of me. So, first of all, thank you to everyone. It's been overwhelming in many ways. I haven't had a chance to answer everyone, but I have tried to read everything. I posted 3 days after the conversation with my soon-to-be ex-wife, and I had hardly slept. Actually, I passed out reading messages on my computer. When I woke up the next day, I had an interesting keyboard pattern on my face and a much clearer mind. I decided to make some lists. For and against on the key points. I put a bunch of papers on the wall. I made a headline on each of them. Our kids, how to behave when meeting the wife, my marriage, Monica, questions to ask my wife, etc. The final document is too big to retype here, so I will just cover some of the main points. My goal was trying to figure out what core principles I wanted in place and what are the most important things that I wanted to focus on. Then, I went through each of those and evaluated whether or not I would actually be able to achieve anything meaningful from it, and what would be a meaningful result in the case I got anywhere. As for the kids, they are my number one priority. I will increase my efforts to help them deal with this. More individual counseling, family counseling. I will arrange trips and spend more quality time together and make new memories. I will also involve the rest of my family on my side to drown them in love and help them through this. I will also talk to their teachers, coaches, etc. I want to make sure their support system is immediate and everywhere. I got an STI test, and I've also booked a DNA testing of the kids. Just thinking they may not be mine makes me very uncomfortable. But I have to make sure for their sake. If they're not mine, maybe there is some medical history they need to know about. What if they want to reach out to the real father when they get older? How will they see me if I don't act now to make sure? Hopefully they are mine, and I will be stressed until I get it confirmed one way or the other. After talking alone to their therapists first, they joined us and we explained everything carefully and let them ask as many questions as they wanted. I repeated over and over and over again that they could come to me with anything. I am their dad. I love them more than anything, and I will always, always be there for them. Whatever they need, no matter what. As for my marriage, I came to the conclusion that I can never trust my wife again. Without trust, it's not possible to have a relationship. I also came to the conclusion that I do not love my wife. I don't love the person she has become. My love for her used to be a very big part of me. But she killed that with the affair. It totally changed my perception of her. Maybe I could learn to love her again, but to be able to do that, I would have to want that. And to be honest, I don't want to. Better to end it and get on with our lives. I no longer want this marriage. I don't want our relationship. I don't want her. The part of me that loved her, the part of me that used to feel endless joy and happiness when thinking about her, that now fills me with dread and memories of pain. Actually, any thought of association with her causes me serious discomfort at the moment. Divorce is inevitable, I think, and I want to get it done as soon as possible. As for Monica, I talked to her a lot. I had some concerns based on the feedback I had here on Reddit. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to jump into a new relationship. I also didn't want to bring her into my mess. And let's face it, my life is a total mess at the moment. She disagreed. She said life is messy. Might as well see how we deal with that together while dating. I found out why she never married. She was engaged, actually. Her fiancé died unexpectedly in a work accident almost 5 years ago. This devastated her, and even though she had gone on a few dates since, she had not been able to form a connection with anyone. From her perspective, life is short and you have to take risks whenever a true opportunity presents itself. I explained how I don't want to start anything until after the divorce is official. I don't want to cheat while I'm technically married. She agrees and respects that. I also talked about how it could be perceived if we all of a sudden were an item out in the open for everyone to see. It would be easy to try to frame her as the homewrecker. I don't want that. She agreed, and we will wait a little bit after it's official until we do anything. I feel incredibly drawn to Monica. This phone call is a borderline emotional affair in my mind, so I will not contact her again until I am done with legal separation. We agreed that I would get my affairs in order and contact her when I was ready, and we would see what to do then. When it came to planning the meeting with my wife, I wrote down some principles on who I want to be. I would make every effort in my meeting with her to try to be that man, the man I used to be before all this. I decided I needed to stay calm. I would make every effort not to be cruel. I would keep in mind that all the purpose of this conversation was to move on with our life. The purpose was to be able to co-parent as good as possible for our kids. Still, I prepared a list of questions to try to understand her thinking to have this affair. And also, what was she thinking about moving forward? I'm not going to be deceitful. I was not going to give her false hope that there was a chance to reconcile, just to get a postnup or some benefit in divorce. I have decided to act as fairly as possible. I will divide all assets with her equally. We will have 50-50 custody. Even though she has acted terribly towards me, I will not use her as a role model. I will act so I can stand by my actions today, tomorrow, and 20 years from now. I hate her for what she did to me, what she did to us, to our children, but I love the memories of the good times we had together, while it lasted. And I love our children that we created and raised together. I will try to remember her in this light moving forward, not her cheating. I can't carry hate in my heart, so at some point, I need to forgive her so I can move on. Up until the point she cheated, I think we had a very good marriage. We would make love every day. We spent a lot of quality time together. We hardly ever argued. We sacrificed for each other willingly. I was actually very open with her up until I discovered her infidelity. I believe she was open with me as well, but now her actions show this is not to be the case. So Saturday came and I went to see her. Her sister had warned me that she was not in good shape. She was not wrong. My soon-to-be ex-wife looked absolutely horrible. Bloodshot eyes, swollen face, unkempt hair. She looked many sizes smaller than I remember, like she had imploded into herself. I doubt she has slept or eaten much this week. We all sat down and my wife was shaking almost uncontrollably. I felt surprisingly calm. I felt for her obvious pain, but not as a loving spouse. I felt for her pain like I would feel for an actor in a movie I was engaged in. I don't know how to explain the feeling really. It confirmed that I probably don't love her anymore. I just sat there and waited for her to collect herself enough to speak. She started several times, but would break down crying. Watching her, it's clear it's not an act. I have seen her cry many times before, but never like this. I guess people can fake cry, but I doubt anyone can fake the look of crying nonstop for a week, mixed with soul-torturing sobs and giant snot bubbles. When she finally started talking, it was like a dam burst. She apologized every second word. Surprisingly, she didn't try to excuse herself or shift the blame to me. Her sister cried as well, and would from time to time berate her. It also became clear that her sister had warned her this would happen. Warning: these revenge stories might be upsetting to cheaters. When someone you trusted and loved betrays you by cheating, it can be an incredibly painful experience, but don't let it hold you back. Turn that betrayal into motivation, and let success be the revenge. First, world's nicest guy gets epic revenge on cheating fiancé by living his best life. Followed by a cheating wife who gets surprised at her secret hotel getaway together with her affair partner. Stick around to the end of this episode to hear the most unexpected ending to the story. Let the like button do the heavy lifting while you sit back and enjoy this episode. This cheating revenge story is rough, and it's about a buddy of mine. The most decent guy you could ever be lucky enough to call a friend, and how he got nuclear revenge on his cheating ex-fiancée, who dumped him for his best friend, all the while still being the most upstanding, greatest guy you can imagine. I've pieced this story together from things my friend and his wife have told me over the decade that we've been friends. There's not enough room to tell you how great this guy is. But believe me, he's been there for me like a rock when things were darkest. Let's call my friend Buddy, the ex-fiancée Lisa, and the hapless best friend, Simon. As you hear my story, you have to always remember that Buddy is literally the greatest guy on the planet. Simon is, well, kind of a prick, annoying as hell, but my buddy says he always means well, and his heart is in the right place. Lisa is as big of a cheating, lying, self-centered narcissist as ever walked the face of the earth. Our story begins when Buddy, Simon, and Lisa are all in middle school together at a typical suburban high school outside of Southern City. Football team, Friday night lights, you get the picture. The three of them are all in marching band, inseparable friends. If you know band types, Buddy plays the French horn, Simon plays the tuba. Lisa played some instrument I don't know the name of. Probably the flute, because it's a cliché. Buddy and Lisa are in a relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend, and Simon is a happy third wheel. As they get older, Buddy and Lisa explore the physical side of their relationship, like normal high schoolers do, while Simon is happy to be a player. He's decent looking, so he has no problem getting attention, and also occasionally makes use of the professional women in their town. This will be important later. Buddy and Lisa, typical good students, go on to prestigious public university in Southern City. Simon drops out of high school, but a self-taught programmer, winds up with a decent career in tech. Buddy graduates college early with honors, and proposes to Lisa at his graduation dinner with a small diamond, because he's put himself through school and it's all he can afford. She accepts. Buddy gets a job at fancy consulting firm in a prestigious city. Lisa finishes college back home in Southern City. Comes time for Lisa to graduate, Buddy helps his fiancée also get a job at the same fancy consulting firm. During her last spring break, she flies up to prestigious city to visit Buddy and interview for her job. But she gets pregnant. So she flies back home. Doesn't tell her partner Buddy, but calls up Simon. She calls up Simon. Tells him, "Hey, I'm in trouble. I need you now." Simon comes to the rescue and takes her to the abortion appointment. Neither of them tell Buddy. Ever. As far as I know, Buddy still doesn't know to this day. I heard about this from someone close to Buddy, who heard it from Simon one night when he was drunk. Buddy, if you ever read this, sorry dude. I should have told you, but it wasn't my place. Now back to the story. Lisa realizes she doesn't want to tell Buddy about her abortion, and that she can't marry him. But she's not brave enough to break it off. Instead, she ghosts him. He finds out through the HR department of fancy consulting firm that she's turned down her job offer and won't be moving to prestigious city after all. Buddy calls Simon to share his worries and get him up to speed about not being able to get in touch with his fiancée Lisa. But on this phone call, Simon actually brings him up to speed and tells him, "Dude, I'm really sorry, but I have to tell you something. Listen, Lisa and we are a couple now. We sort of found each other. But listen, you can punch me in the face next time we get together." Somehow, Buddy and Simon decide that Lisa isn't worth destroying their brotherly friendship. So they stay best friends, going hunting together on Simon's family place in the country, and things like that. Lisa is not happy about this, but Simon tells her that if she makes him choose, he'll choose Buddy. Buddy takes a year or so to get over it, and starts dating again. Pretty soon, he meets Jen, and falls madly in love. Crazy in love, and to make things better, Jen is just as crazy about him. In less than 6 months, they're engaged. Now, the thing you have to understand is that Lisa is drop-dead gorgeous. She's not tall enough to be a model, just average height, but she's got these giant blue eyes and super long eyelashes. Long, shiny wavy dark brown hair, an exquisite face and a terrific figure. She's prettier than a movie star, and being beautiful is really important to her. Jen is pretty enough, but regular. But she's the type of woman that really and truly doesn't give a flying frick. Simon travels to prestigious city without Lisa to meet Buddy's fiancée. He and Jen really get along. Jen gets along with everyone. So Simon reports back to Lisa that Buddy is really happy. His fiancée Jen is a truly awesome woman, etc. Lisa gets jealous and pouty when she hears about Jen's Ivy League education, but then Simon makes a point of telling her that Jen is nowhere near as pretty as Lisa, so she'll stop sulking. At least until she gets an invitation to the wedding. Lisa pitches a fit, refuses to go, and tries to prevent Simon from going. But there's no way in hell he'll miss his best friend's wedding, so he goes without her. No big deal, it's a super small, low-key wedding. At the wedding, Simon reconnects with another high school friend of theirs, a guy named Ray, whose date to the wedding was actually someone else's wife. Ray has a thing for married women. This is important. Buddy and Jen go on, living their best lives. At some point, Buddy gets an Ivy League MBA. His career takes off like gangbusters. They pop out a couple of kids. Jen quits her career to be a stay-at-home mom. They're rich as hell, still crazy in love and blissfully happy. A couple of times a year, the guys get together and bring their wives along. At some point, Simon and Lisa get married. Buddy and Jen were invited to the wedding, but when Lisa found out, she made sure to let Simon retract the invitation. But the women get along okay. Jen gets along with everyone, and Lisa is happy because she's thinner and prettier than Jen. Especially after both women have been through pregnancy and childbirth. The years tick on. Things get complicated. One day, this is around 2008, Buddy, Jen and Simon are playing the video game online called World of Warcraft. It's a small hobby they share. During this online session, Simon gets them on TeamSpeak and tells them one hell of a story. Simon and Lisa have continued to hang out with Ray, their high school friend who has a thing for married women. He's turned his eye on Lisa, who, even after 3 kids, is even hotter than she was in college. She's leaned heavily into the MILF role. Meanwhile, Simon has had enough of her nonsense. He's decided to divorce her 3 times, but each time when he tells her, she cries and gets all pouty. They have one last time unprotected sexy time, which results in her getting pregnant, and bam! Simon and Lisa's 3 kids. Ray goes in hard with his practice seduction routine, and Lisa cries to Simon that she just can't stand it. She asks Simon, "I really can't stand it anymore. Would you please be okay with it if I have sexy time with Ray? Just once." They do. Simon watches, goes in for sloppy seconds, and Lisa and Simon's marriage enters its suburban swinger era. Simon gives Jen and Buddy every gory detail over the course of a 2-hour conversation, while they're all fighting wolves on low-level accounts in Elwyn Forest, and Lisa is upstairs with a bottle of wine. It's obvious that during their next visit, Simon wants to join in sexy fun times with Buddy and Jen, but they're not into that, and after an awkward 5 minutes, things go back to normal. The kids all play together, the women make small talk, and Buddy and Simon hang out together doing the normal things that guys do. Simon tells Buddy that the reason they're into trading partners is that he likes watching Lisa being degraded, and Lisa gets off on making Simon feel like he isn't man enough for her. This marriage isn't healthy, they're both unhappy. But Simon wants to stay married, because Lisa is hot as hell, she's got a solid career, and he's a mid-level tech guy with a GED who works from home while he takes care of 3 kids, so he'll never be able to do better. Sometime after this, things get worse. Simon calls Buddy to chat. His marriage has gone to hell. Lisa has, in her words, met the love of her life. She's moved on from Ray and from the swinging scene, and is now having an affair with a guy from the accounting department at her job. She's staying out all night. She's ignoring the kids. Simon and Lisa take the kids on a swank vacation to try to focus on their family, but Lisa spends all her time crying, because she misses her affair partner and she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want a divorce, because she knows she'll lose the kids, she's drunk all the time, and she doesn't want to have to pay Simon child support. She wants him to let her live whatever life she wants, while he does all the cooking, cleaning and childcare, and still bring in 50% of the household money. On top of this all, Lisa is bombarding Simon about how she could have married Buddy and been like Jen, a stay-at-home mom in a giant 5,000 square foot house, with 6 bedrooms and a pool. I should mention that Buddy has also had a Neville Longbottom style glow-up, and gone from a nerdy band kid to a silver-haired super confident high-level executive in a top-tier consulting firm. Whereas Simon still is the guy working from his basement in sweatpants, covered in the occasional Dorito crumbs. He has been working on himself, but there's no way he can compete in Lisa's eyes, although both Buddy and Jen tell me about Simon's great qualities. Lisa is jealous, hopping mad, and she blames Simon. Buddy tells his friend Simon, "Dude, trust me, I know. She is bad news. Leave her." He tells him this in the last conversation they will ever have. Now it gets rough, so heads up. Buddy gets a call at work one afternoon. It's Bob, Simon's dad. He says Simon got drunk, woke up Lisa at 3 a.m., told her that he'd never loved her, that she'd never been enough of a woman for him, that he'd been visiting professional women during most of their marriage, and that he hoped she would go to hell. Then, immediately after this, he deleted himself right there. It's really awful. When the ambulance got there, she was hysterical, sitting on the curb outside the house, screaming over and over again, "I want to go too. It's all my fault. It's all my fault." Later, during the arrangements, Bob would call Buddy to tell him that Lisa specifically says he is not welcome at the funeral. Bob and Linda, Simon's parents, step in to take care of the 3 little kids, who did nothing wrong and do not deserve this, while Lisa does nothing but work and drink. The coup de grace. About a year later, Buddy flies to Southern City to put flowers on Simon's resting place and visits Simon's parents, Bob and Linda. Bob is still in shock, but he and Linda have taken Lisa in as a daughter to try and help her through this as much as they can. Lisa's mom passed away and she's not in contact with her dad. Bob asks Buddy, "Why did Lisa say it was all her fault, and why did she ban you from the funeral?" "What don't I know? What's the rest of the story? Why did Simon do it?" The moment of ultimate revenge. Buddy thinks for a minute and decides that it will help Bob and Linda to understand the tragedy that happened to their son, if they know the full story. So he tells them everything. Bob and Linda have continued to do everything for the 3 kids, and they continue to treat Lisa well, because that is best for the children, but the clock is ticking. Lisa's remarried now. When the kids are old enough, Bob and Linda will tell them the whole story. The youngest kid will be 18 soon. Buddy is still grieving over his friend. Summary: what did Buddy do to get revenge on his cheating ex-fiancée? Stayed friends with the guy who stole her, letting her know how important she was to him versus the friendship. Moved on and married someone smarter, nicer, and less pretty, letting her know that her best and only quality was unimportant to him. Had a hell of a successful career, causing her much jealous anguish. Had a massive glow up between 30 and 40, causing her much jealous anguish. Had a terrific marriage, causing her much jealous anguish. And also letting her know that the problem in their relationship wasn't him. Respected her boundaries when she uninvited him to his best friend's funeral, causing best friend's dad to ask the fateful question that ticks this over from karma to nuclear. Proof that living well is indeed the best revenge. Sucks about Simon though. Buddy says he was the kind of guy who would come to your house when all hell broke loose, clean your fridge and make a 5-star dinner with whatever he could find. Nuclear vengeance wasn't worth the cost. I wish I had known him. Wild ride and implied nuclear revenge in the future via intergenerational revenge. Wow, sorry that happened to your friend and his friend's family. Lisa sounds like an awful person. Wish the friend left her sooner before being baby-trapped 3 times by her. Hope the children are doing well and become better human beings than their mother. Yeah, Simon is definitely a prick for cheating with Lisa behind Buddy's back. But the fact Buddy forgave him and was willing to save and keep the relationship and Simon would choose their friendship over Lisa, both speak volumes more. The biggest jerk, however, is Lisa, for she tried to destroy Buddy and tragically destroyed Simon. Simon's parents should kick her to the curb, and she should just fend for herself, alone.